Thanks so much for tuning into Talking Point. I'm your host, Neeraj Shah. Truck demand continues to recover sequentially, and September month-to-date registrations, as from a brokerage note, are 5% above the 2019 levels and 3x 2020. The first increase over 2019, I presume, since the COVID outbreak happened. I think eBay bills, which is arguably the measure of the road freight movement, has also been slightly above, maybe about 15 to 20% above the 19 levels in the last couple of months, which suggests a strong freight recovery. So therefore, the only question is a CV and MHCV recovery, a cyclical upside, very, very imminent? Let's pose that question to our guest today. He needs no introduction. Mr. Vinod Aggarwal, MD and CEO of Volvo Eicher Commercial Vehicles, joins us right now on the show. Mr. Aggarwal, great having you. Thanks for joining in. What's your sense, sir, of how is the on-ground situation looking right now when it comes to the CV segment?
Absolutely. I think you mentioned it very well, and we are experiencing green shoots. And there are very clear reasons that why this recovery should sustain over definitely some period of time. And my expectation is we should see good period over next definitely 1 to 2 years. The reason is that the CV industry is at the lowest level for last 3 years. It has been dropping. If you look at the previous 3 years, 2018-19 by the peak, when the industry was at the highest peak. And after that, in 2019-20, the industry dropped by 40%. This I am talking of 3.5 ton and above, medium and heavy duties, and the light duties beyond 4.9 ton. And then in 2021, they dropped further by 30%. So therefore, from 550,000 plus in 18-19 for 3.5 ton and above, it dropped down to almost 230,000 in 2021. So that's the type of industry drop which we have seen in last 3 years, 18-19 to 2021. And then current year, we were expecting that the industry will be much better, but for the wave one, which came unexpectedly from April, and then 3 months again were the washout. But barring that washout of first quarter, I think July onwards, we have again started experiencing the pickup, and we are very positive now that the industry only has the upside because it's already at a very, very low level, and economic activity is picking up, and there are a lot of overdue replacements in the market because last 2-3 years, the big transport operators or even the retail transporters, smaller transporters, they have not done major replacements. The reasons were very clear. They had less confidence in the economic recovery. There were a lot of issues, starting with, if you look at 1920, it started with the problems in retail financing after the ILFS crisis. And then, of course, the axle load related things. Then suddenly the government had increased the payloads, which created, again, a lot of confusion in the market. But then after the BS6, the new design trucks were released, which also catered to the increased payload requirements. Therefore, the new trucks which are available in BS6, they are not only technologically advanced, they are also designed to carry these additional payloads. Therefore, the productivity on these BS6 trucks is much better than the productivity of the earlier trucks. So even after paying slightly higher price because of BS6, the overall cost of ownership for these products is better. Therefore, there is a strong case for replacing the old trucks, which has not happened in last few years. And when the confidence in the economy is improving, there is a better movement of goods and services. Therefore, my expectation is that CV industry will start recovering even more strongly in the months to come, and we will only see the positive side of the CV industry. At the same time, the major negative factor, which is still continuing, is the fuel prices. as you know, the diesel prices have gone up significantly in last 18 months. They have gone up by almost 50%. Now, diesel accounts for almost 50 to 60% of the cost of ownership. So it means when the diesel prices go up by 50%, uh, to remain at par with their earlier earnings, the freight rates have to go up by 25 to 30%. So the freight rates have not gone up in line with that increase in the diesel prices. Therefore, the smaller operators, the retail operators, who operate with one or two trucks or who depend on the daily loads availability, those are the people who suffer the maximum because they don't get the rates. The transporters who are attached with large corporates, they will have the agreements on the fuel price adjustments. Whereas the smaller operators, they have to depend on the market loads, and then that go by the demand and supply. So therefore, still there is a pain with respect to the freight rates. The transporters are still not able to get the right freights. As a result of that, they may be deferring. Some of them may still be deferring the replacement of their older trucks. So, but I think that problem will be taken care of by the economy if the demand for movement of goods and services increase. Then there will be no other way but to replace the trucks, because you need trucks for moving goods, and if the economy is growing, then you need trucks. So that's why we are very positive.
Yeah. Well, I must tell you, sir, that the truck freight notwithstanding, corporate after corporate is complaining about the sea freight and the container rates. So God forbid if these rates also move up.
It's a different type of.
Yeah. I'm just saying that for
all the imports or exports, suddenly the cost is gone up because of the rates.
Yes, it has. Just wondering, most expectations are of a very strong second half. You kind of alluding to that as well. Is it a near certainty, or is it contingent upon factors like maybe the wave 3 being very, very mild? Are there some constraining factors that you're watching out for?
Wave 3, definitely there are some fears around wave 3. But at the same time, I think people have learned, first of all, to live with COVID. Like, for example, you see more and more offices opening up now, and people are taking all the precautions. There is a lot of discipline in wearing the face masks. And then, of course, vaccinations also are happening every day. And every day is better than the previous day. So therefore, the more and more vaccinations happen, people become more and more confident. The travel has started. Therefore, I think the wave 3, even if it is there, I don't think it is going to have that sort of an impact which was there earlier. Like, for example, wave 2 also, the impact was lesser as compared to the initial lockdowns. When last year the corona outburst happened, at that time the situation was very bad. People were very fearful. In wave 2, people were not that fearful. And wave 3 will be less fearful. So therefore, notwithstanding wave 3, first of all, I think let's expect that it shouldn't come with all the vaccinations and all the precautions. And but even if it comes, I think the economy will not be impacted that much. Therefore, I think if the economy does well, we will see better prospects for the CB industry.
Well, your industry is actually a bit of a lead indicator, Mr. Agarwal. September numbers are looking strong. Would you reckon going into the festive season, those numbers will only look better? Because part two of my question is, I hear some murmurs around companies, and some companies announcing capex in chemicals, in cement. Companies have started doing that, but the large boom on capex is yet to come. You reckon your numbers are a lead indicator of that happening?
Yeah, as far as the auto industry is concerned, I think large capex programs may not be there, except for the newer technologies, which will be now get the boost after the PLI scheme. Other than that, I think the investments in the capacities you may not see, because all the companies have enough capacities.
Yeah, sure. No, sir, I was talking about the other industries, and how if the capex picks up there, then your sale numbers are a bit of a lead indicator always. If CVs sell well, then you kind of see capex boom coming around. You sense that happening?
CV is the barometer of the economy.
Yeah. So you sense that happening in the numbers currently?
Yeah, CV is irrespective of that. As I told you, the replacement demand itself
Replacement demand itself is going to do that.
Now the new economy or the additional GDP or additional demand because of the capex or because of new projects or infrastructure, those will be additional. So therefore, CV industry is in a, I would say, is in a sweet spot as far as situation is concerned.
Sure.
It has to go up.
Okay. Just one. Sorry, please finish your point.
There is only one uncertainty with respect to the supply of microprocessors. That is the problem that we are dealing with currently. If it suffers, it will suffer because of non-production, because of non-availability of some of the critical electronic parts. So that is the only uncertainty at this point of time. Other than that, I think there is good demand and there is a good case for all the transporters to come out with the replacement requirements.
What's your gut on the microprocessor situation, Mr. Agarwal? Some people believe that the worst is behind and you will see it improving. What's your sense? What's the on-ground situation?
No, it's an optimistic statement that the worst is behind. That. But of course, I think still it is not solved. Problem is still there.
And you sense it will stay for the next 2-3 months at least from your conversation?
It is. It looks like, yes.
Okay. Just one quick follow-up on the previous question, Mr. Agarwal, and the earlier conversation, which is that some people also go out, the bulls also go out and say that even if private capex doesn't come back, the point that you made about utilization levels, as well as the government-led moves, both on the infra focus and the scrappage policy, will also be big pushers for the CV demand to come back, even if private capex wasn't there. Is that a fair estimate?
Absolutely. That's what I mentioned, because the case is for replacements. That is number one. Number two is the government push on infrastructure. There is a huge program for investments. So when there are more investments in infrastructure, it means they need more construction trucks. So therefore, we will see more demand coming for the tipper trucks. Similarly, the coal mining activity or the activity in the various other mines, that is also improving. So therefore, I think there are various reasons for the CV industry to go up.
Okay. Couple of questions, Eicher specific as well. What's your sense on how much of a pricing change would you need to mitigate cost of commodities? I know they've stabilized a bit, but I'm guessing they're still at slightly elevated levels. So would sales take care of it? Would higher utilization take care of operational metrics, or would you need to indulge in some price hikes, change of mix, etc., to improve the margin performance?
Price hikes are already happening. You have seen price hikes consistently. Another price hike is happening from 1st of October. Most of the people have already announced it. And but the biggest problem is the realization of these price hikes. There is a huge challenge in realizing the price hikes because the capacity is still idle. And when the capacity is idle, there are more trucks available in the market running after the fewer customers. When the industry is still at the low level as compared to the overall capacities or as compared to the earlier peak levels. Therefore, there is more competition. And when there is more competition, the big transporters, they get better muscle power to negotiate discounts. And that's the major issue on the price recoveries. So even though the auto companies are showing losses, but still they are running after the customers after giving more discounts. So that's the irony of the situation. So that's a demand supply situation. Therefore, I think the challenge is the recovery of the price increases. We announce price increases, but then the discounts are not stopping.
So what do you do to mitigate the cost of commodities, even though it's stabilized a bit?
We have to continue to do the cost reductions. We have to continue to work with the customers to convince them on the cost of ownership. So we are, like for example, we are trying to showcase to the customer that if they buy better technology products, if they buy products with better features which improve the productivity. For example, in VECV, we are selling all the trucks which are 100% connected, and we sell trucks after making these connectivity live, and we subscribe for them for first 2 years at our cost, and uh, and then we also provide them value added services so that we can showcase to them that if they use the connected services, what sort of advantages that they get. And for example, if they are able to save on fuel, little bit on fuel, uh, then it is much more beneficial than paying a little bit of higher premium. So even if they pay some premium, but if they are able to save on fuel, that is much bigger. Like I'll substantiate it. For example, if the in the cost of ownership, the fuel cost is say 50 to 60%. The initial acquisition price of the truck, that plays the role only up to 15 to 20% in the overall cost of ownership. So therefore, even if you pay 10% premium on 15 to 20%, which is around 1.5% or 2%, and whereas on 50% or 60% of the fuel, if you save 10%, that is 5 to 6%. So therefore, first is the product technology, the product performance, that itself gives you some better fuel efficiency. Then based on these value add services, we are able to ensure that the drivers are able to drive the trucks in the right manner so that they get the right fuel efficiency, because it also depends a lot that how the driver is driving. A good driver can deliver almost 20 to 25% better fuel efficiency than a driver who is not driving well. Now, in our trucks, there are a lot of features which encourage the drivers to drive well. For example, on the dashboard, they keep on getting the online coaching, fuel coaching. They keep on getting online. Like when they are driving, they know it, whether they are driving it well or not. When they drive well, they get 2 thumbs up in front of them. And if they're not driving well, like half driving well, half not, then they will get 1 thumbs up. If they are not driving well at all, then they get 2 thumbs down. And at the end of the trip, they get the summary that in the entire trip, what percentage of the time they drove in the sweet spot. Now, this is the information which is known to the driver as well as to the principal transporter. He knows it that which driver is driving well, which driver is not driving well. These are all the services which are possible because all the trucks are connected, and we are able to provide them the various slice and dice of the information. There is huge information that gets generated when the truck is driving on the roads. Now that information is used to the maximum possible advantage, so that we can give various types of information which improves the productivity.
Wow. Okay. Well, 2 thumbs up to that as well, Mr. Agarwal.
That's very strong tool, you can say, to improve the fuel efficiency when the fuel cost is more than 50 to 60% of your cost.
Yeah, I'm sure. Okay, I have one final question, and then one industry-wide question. But before that, on the CV space only, and you in particular, would you believe that the current mix which you might be having right now could change? And I'm just trying to understand which segment within the CV space do you reckon would have the quickest recovery or would show the quickest recovery in the next 6 to 12 odd months?
You have to see the mix in two forms. One is the even alternate fuels also are becoming more popular. So there is a lot of migration that is happening to the CNG fuel, uh, because in the light and medium duty trucks, we have the widest range of CNG trucks. Now, in the CNG, if the diesel costs 90 rupees per liter, the CNG fuel costs 50 rupees per kg. And the difference is huge. For example, if you are running, say, 7,000 kilometers, a medium duty truck in a month, and you are getting an average of 7 kilometers to a liter, you need 1,000 liters of diesel, you spend 90,000 rupees on diesel. Now, same 7,000 kilometers, when you run it on CNG, you will spend 50,000 rupees because it's 50 rupees per kg. Efficiency is same. So 50,000 versus 90,000. You save 40,000 rupees per truck per month. So it's a huge advantage if you migrate to the CNG. So therefore, we are seeing more and more migration happening from diesel trucks to CNG trucks in the light and medium duty segment, from 4.9 ton to 16 ton segment. And And now there are examples where the transporters are able to drive right from Delhi to Mumbai with the CNG fuel, because there are convenient places on the way where they can do the refill. Even with a single refill, they can do 550 kilometers. For example, someone wants to go from Delhi to Jaipur and come back with the single fill, he is able to do that with the single fill without adding any further. So that is one sort of mix change. So from diesel to CNG. And then the second is, of course, when the economy is improving, when the steel, cement, and the core industries are improving, then the first recovery always happens in the heavy duty trucks. Heavy duty trucks are the first ones to drop, and they are the first ones to drop when the economy goes up. So you will see more recovery happening in the heavy duty trucks, and heavy duty trucks are also at the lowest level currently. Heavy duty trucks, which were 290,000 plus in 1819, last year they dropped to 112,000. So 295 to 112, almost one third of the peak of 1890. Now this 112, there is only one way to go. 112 maybe was 10 years back. If you go back to the, but when did we see 112 sort of an industry? It was long back. So we are almost gone back to 10 years back in the heavy duty trucks. So that is the type of situation. Therefore, you will see recovery happening in the heavy duty trucks very, very strongly, led by the infrastructure trucks, led by the haulage trucks, and there will be more and more migration towards the better trucks. There will be more migration towards the multi-axle trucks. You will see a lot of such mixed changes.
Okay. In which case, Mr. Agarwal, my final question for the industry at large, and maybe for you individually, maybe you can speak for yourself. Higher volumes and therefore higher utilization levels, hopefully stable commodity costs which don't go up too much for you on the manufacturing front, and a better mix could all result not only in higher sales 12 months out, but also much better operational metrics.
Absolutely. This is going to happen.
It is going to happen. Fair call. Mr. Agarwal, are you, before we wind up, one question that is doing the rounds, and I just thought I'll ask you, are you on the lookout for making some large inorganic moves as well? Are you wanting to acquire any players?
Not in the CD space.
Not in the CD space. Fair call. Okay, Mr. Agarwal, this was lovely. Thank you so much for speaking to us, and look forward to talking to you more often.
My pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And viewers, thanks for tuning into this edition of The Talking Point.